Hi everybody, welcome to a new series that we're going to do. Make sure everything's in alignment. Are you guys ready to rock and roll? Alright, without mentioning any specific details, there was an episode on Facebook where people want to know, what's the deal with Noah? Did he really exist? Is he a real person? Do we look at the Torah historically? Do we look at the Torah Lefi Pshuto, which is rabbinic textual reality? Jacques, you and I had a big discussion in Cape Town about Lefi Pshuto textual reality. Can I get a one on that? And here it is, guys. There was once upon a time a woman named Ruth. Am I right? There was once upon a time a woman named Ruth. When I look to my right, I'm looking at the chat box for those watching on YouTube. And Ruth was a very nice person. Very nice. No problems with Ruth. And then, once upon a time, there was a prophet named Samuel. You guys ever hear this prophet named Samuel? And he wrote a book, a very nice book, called the Book of Ruth. So, the question is, do we say in Torah that the book is the same as the person? Are we learning the Book of Ruth as a historical biography? Or do we look at Ruth only vis-a-vis the psukim, the verses in Sefer Ruth? That textual reality is called the Lefi Pshuto. Fix my camera, one little drop. There we go. It's called Lefi Pshuto, a textual reality. And the way the Torah works, what is that? What are the twos? What are twos? Explain your two. What two? Hello? Hello, two people. Jacques, Lisa, Justin, do you hear me? Type 1 if you hear me. What are the twos? Okay, no twos. I'm assuming there's no twos. So now, don't do two unless you need me to do two. The philosophical question in Torah is, do we look at the book the same as the person? Is the Book of Ruth the same as Ruth? Or do we say Tzvei Dinim? Right? And looking at the Book of Ruth, or any book according to the truth of the text, is called Lefi Pshuto. I'll give you an example. There's something called kosher, kashrut, and there's something called pots and pans. When we cook a pot with unkosher food, the rabbis declare the walls of the pot to have absorbed like 100% of the non-kosher food. Now don't go and say, oh, Rabbi Katz is wrong, it's only 98%. I'm talking very generally here. We're not getting into the dinim of kashrut. So the bottom line is, you can't say, maybe I can cook with this pot because the non-kosher food, scientifically, in reality, did not absorb into the walls enough to trafe up the food to come. Type 1. That is a rabbinic, halachic, Lefi Pshuto reality that we superimpose on the pot because we don't care about the science of pots. We care about the halacha of pots. So too with Ruth. Is she a historical figure in Torah, or is the Book of Ruth also a historical document, but also a halachic document, Lefi Pshuto, that we learn the laws of conversion today from the way that we halachically view the book of Ruth? Now that's a big kasha. Because in the book of Ruth, we don't see where she brought a korban. And converts today don't bring a korban. So converts today read the book of Ruth and say, hey, we converted just like Ruth. Only Ruth, who lived at the time where there would have been korbanos, she would have brought an offering. And since she didn't bring an offering, it's a big question. But when we look at the book of Ruth, Lefi Pshuto, then we don't expect her to bring a korban because we look at it in the context of halachically for today, type 1. So therefore, what we have is viewing the book of Ruth in a context of Lefi Pshuto, halachic rabbinic reality. All right. I don't remember exactly why I started with this intro after all the adjustments and twos. So what we're going to do, for whatever reason I brought that, go back to the beginning of the video and you'll see why I brought in the Lefi Pshuto. We are, because we asked about Noah historically, if he's viewed historically or as a Torah character. So let's go on another side element, if you will. I read over Shabbos, the Brisker Rav learns brisk and not caring what the Rambam says himself, but only in the books of the Rambam. Meaning, if we have a halacha of the Rambam, the brisk tradition and method is, even if the Rambam said in another source XYZ about this halacha, we disregard the Rambam, the historical biography man, and we go by the book, the Mishnah Torah, when learning the Rambam. Type 1. This is the concept of the Torah is on earth, not in heaven. Even the author doesn't have the right to change his own book. Therefore, does the Torah want us to look at the Torah historically, or like Brisk tends to look at it, according to the text? Can you divorce Ruth from her book? The answer is yes, well, you can, and the answer is yes, we do. She herself, whether or not she converted, is irrelevant because the book of Ruth, when learned Lefi Pshuto for today's converts, will be learned that she converted. Now, do not be confused and think that if she converted, it's like today, because there's the korban at her time, or what was the nature of her conversion, XYZ. Jethro, don't be confused, because the Ramban says that he converted as well, as one of two opinions. We have Zvachim in the Talmud 116a. Jacques, don't type 2 unless you need me to clarify something, please. You're going to confuse me. Since I got to turn and turn and turn and da-da-da-da-da until we work out the system. Jethro in the Talmud is brought as a question, can a Ben Noach bring a shlamim? We know that the convert brings the offering, and a Jew brings a shlamim, but can a Ben Noach bring a shlamim? And then the concept is he geared before Sinai, and it's the language lehi to gayer. Not always to convert, but to become ger. 1 or 2. Hello. 2 or 1. 1 or 2. Now's your time, Jacques. If it's 2, it better be 2. If it's 1, it better be 1. So we are into this inquiry about Noach and whether or not he was a historical figure, a metaphysical figure. How do we base our emunah in looking at Noach? I think today's class will actually answer the question. And to solve this riddle, I've decided we're going to stop learning Shar Gogulim for a while, Book of Reincarnations, and we're going to learn the Zohar for our Kabbalah class on Parashas Noach. Does that sound good to you guys? We're going to learn Parashas Noach in the Zohar to learn about our friend Noach. Ready? Here we go. There's a link on that I gave to Jacques about where and what and how and why to buy the Zohar Parshas Noach in English. Jacques, if you could please be kind enough to distribute that link to eBay. And anybody who is attending this class, I strongly suggest that you buy the English Zohar Volume 2 Parshas Noach. Eile Toldois. Alright, the Zohar starts. Very, very beginning. Ready? Eile Toldois. I'm going to read it one time and then we'll go back through. All together, let's look at how many Mishnayos there are. I don't know if we'll end up doing them all. Certainly not today. That goes without saying. There are 388 Mishnayot, teachings. Today we're going to cover 1 through 3 because 1 through 3 is a thing. And you always have to figure out which numbers we're doing. The Mishnah numbers are not the same as page numbers. Page number is 59b. Number 1. Eila told us, Rabbi Chia Pesach Soda Kasuv Hazeh Sha'omer, Noach Ish Tzadik, Sod HaKasuv, Ve'imcha Kulam Tzadikim, Hukshalai Ki Achar Eila told us, Noach Haya Roi Shiyamir Shem Cham V'yofis, Ve'lo Noach Ish Tzadik Ve'ama Ashreim Yisrael Sha'oiskim, B'toira v'yaidim darkei ha'toira shebishvila yazchu le'olam haba. Jacques, you can translate that, right? These are the offspring of Noach. Rabbi Chia opened up and said that the side of this verse is as follows. Noach was a righteous man with God, and the sod is, and your people or your nation, all of them are tzaddikim. Full stop. Jacques and Justin, what is that verse? And your people, all of them are tzaddikim. You know where this comes from? Va'amcha kulam tzaddikim. You know, I forgot to write that down. All right, forgot to write that down. Look it up and try to find that. I wrote down another verse. We'll get there in a second. So we have 6, what I wrote down was 6:9 actually. The first verse in Noach. Noach was a righteous man, and your people, all of them are tzaddikim. Justin, if you can find that, please post it. I want to know from my own notes. I forgot to write that down. And your nation, all of them are tzaddikim. I think it's like from Zechariah, somewhere in the Navi. Isaiah, please post the verse so I can see. Okay. Huk shaloi. So the kasha is after it says, Eila told us Noach. Right? Everyone look at 6:9 in Bereshis. After it says, Eila told us Noach. Hayaroi sheyamar. If we're talking about the offspring of Noah, type 1. Shouldn't it then say, oh yeah, there was Shem, Cham, and Yafis? Am I right? And it shouldn't say, and by the way, Noach, speaking of his generations and legacy, Noach was a righteous man. Does everybody see the kasha? Yes or no? Hello? All right. Hello? 1, 2, all right. Where's that verse? What is that verse exactly? Please type in what that verse is so I can write it down. 60 what? 60:21. Shkoyach. Shkoyach. 60:21 Isaiah. All right. So now, does everybody hear the kasha? If we're talking about the legacy, then why are we continuing to talk about Noach? Type 1. Hurry up. And then it says, and Israel, y'all are praiseworthy because you are involved and busy. Oisik. Can a goy idolater be Isaac in Torah? Hello, hurry up. Type 2. Can an idolater goy be Isaac in Torah? No. But people ask me, even last night, someone asked me, what about teaching Torah to non-Jews? Can a non-idolater, i.e. a ger, be Isaac, at least in the 7 laws and that which pertains to them? Can that person be Isaac b'Torah? Type 1, yes. And they should know the ways of the Torah, that because of it, they merit the world to come. Alright, so remember we have what's called love the book. Everyone should be loving the book. So we are here with the Zohar, Parshas Noach. There's the Aramaic text. We're looking at Rav Ashlag, his commentary called the Sulam. We're in number 1, and we just finished number 1, Ois Aleph. The very first teaching in the Zohar on Noach, type 1. And all we're doing is saying that it's a kasha. Why are we talking about Noach when it's the offspring? And why is Noach a tzaddik? Because just like Israel, your people are righteous and merit the world to come through being Isaac in Torah and knowing its ways, Mastama ostensibly, so too Noach. Type 1 if you understand 1. Now we're ready for number 2. Are you ready for number 2? Common, I'll read it in Hebrew, sorry. Bo roye kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelik li'olam haba v'shoyel mahu hatam v'oimem mishum shehem shoyrim es habris sheha'olam miskayim alav kamo sha'almer ha'kasuv imlo b'isi yoimim v'layla chukas shamayim ve'aretz lo samti Dahainu sheshoyrim bris mila de kedisha shelo latame yoso b'shizal be'arayis. Fikach Yisrael sheshoyrim abris ki kilu iso elehem yesh lehem chelik li'olam haba. Come and check this out. All of Israel, that they have a portion la'olam haba. Now remember, are these Iker terms, Jacques and Justin? They are indeed Iker terms. And there's a difference between Chelik Li'olam Haba and Ben Olam Haba. There are differences in these terms. I'm not getting into the dikduk right now, but we're dealing with Chelik Li'olam Haba. And there is to ask why. Why is Israel meriting the world to come? Because they guard the bris. Type 1 if you understood what I just said. They guard the bris. They guard the bris. They guard the bris. That the world is maintained because of it. As it says in the verse, if I didn't make my covenant day and night, the statutes of heaven and earth I would not continue to place. Does anybody know where that verse is? Would anybody like to either state, guess, or claim where that verse is? There's a verse that God says, if I didn't make my covenant day and night. Any takers? Hello? Hello, anyone? So how many of you have ever heard of a Noachide, a Ben Noach, who keeps Shabbos, is Chayiv Misa? You guys ever hear this? And they'll say, what is the scriptural source of such a concept? Now, Jacques, when they give the scriptural source, are they giving it to you in, let's call it reality, or Lafib Shuto? Is there a real source saying a goy that keeps Shabbos is Chayiv Misa? Or do they find a source, superimpose Sanhedrin on it, and do that Lafib Shuto? Which one is that? Lafib Shuto? Yes. And they take it from Parshas Noach, where it says about the covenant day and night. And that the covenant day and night should not ever stop. And that's how you know that a goy cannot keep Shabbos, because the world would stop. Does that verse sound like our verse here? Type 1, please. And I thought it was, please. Hello, type 1. Hello, we're waiting on you. Come on, hello. Hello, Jacques, Justin, John, and Lewis and Lisa. There you go. I thought it was the same verse. And then I thought, David Katz, you're doing kishuf on yourself. That's correct, Justin. It's Jeremiah. And I unkishufed my brain, and I looked it up like Justin, and it brought me to 33:25. So already I was in moron man because I didn't want to look it up. And now that I looked it up, I feel a lot better that I found it in Jeremiah. If you'd like to post that verse, Justin. And now here we go. So, the big question. Ready? Here it is. Here's the $1 million question. Are you guys ready for the $1 million question? 1 or 2. Are you ready for the $1 million question? When it says that Israel guards the bris, what does that mean? Takers, let's go. What does it mean? That Israel guards the bris, and that's why they merit the world to come. Shabbos, no. No. Let me give you a hint. When we say in Torah B, when people don't know the sugya, they think bris is bris milah, so by sexual purity, by keeping from promiscuous behavior, that is the essence of what we're saying here. Hello, 1 or 2. Type 1. And then I thought to myself, David Katz, that's not what bris means. That's what they say it means. That's what our friends on the internet land will say it means. But how many of you have ever read Krisis 9a? And in Krisis 9a, it says that Klal Yisrael, the original Jewish people, who stood at Sinai, entered into the Brit, the covenant, with 3 things: Milah, Tvila, and a Korban. Circumcision, dunking in a mikveh, and an offering. Is that called the Brit? Type 1, because it is. So the covenant, Jacques, of Sinai was the establishment by taking Bnei Noach and bringing in Israel to the world. Now, Jacques and Justin, how do I define Israel? If they're going to be tzaddikim and merit the world to come by keeping the bris, what is Israel? How about calling it Kahal Yisrael? It's the cobbled nation of Cohen Levi Israel. Type 1. So that Brit of those 3 holy houses was sealed at Sinai. And anybody who left idolatry, who was not, for whatever reason, part of the holy 3 houses, they became part of the 4th non-holy house, the Kahal Gerim, which is not called a holy Kahal. Thereby giving you 4 houses, Cohen Levi Israel Ger. 3 holy, part of Israel proper, and 1 Nilva to Israel called Ger. And then there was everybody outside of the Kahal. The Moabites, all the ites, Mumsers, all kinds of the Kahal. So Israel is given a Torah at Sinai, and in that Torah is wisdom, and the wisdom teaches how to make union in the Kahal So when we say keeping the bris, Jacques, is it just stamazoi sexual? Or are we saying it's the wisdom how to maintain the integrity of the three houses? From purity, wisdom, sanctity, halacha, mitzvah, you name it. A Cohen doesn't marry a Zona, someone promiscuous. A Cohen doesn't marry a divorcee. And there's all kinds of laws in Jewish religion how to operate in the Kahal. So by definition, if the Kahal is commanded and the Kahal is eternal, and if you are alive in the end of days, it means you survived through the Kahal. Doesn't that by definition mean that you're a Ben Olam Haba, Justin Becker? If the Kahal of Israel is how to maintain and perpetuate itself, if I live through the Kahal, am I not guaranteed a portion in the end of days? Type 1. If I go against the Kahal, if I'm a Kohen and I marry a divorcee and my children are no longer Kohanim, and then because my children say, well, Dad ruined it for me, I'm going to marry a shiksa, a non-Jewish woman, an idolater. I'm going to marry a mamzer. I want to leave the Kahal. Will I merit the end of days? No. I left the Kahal. I'm not a Ben Olam Haba. So now, the concept of keeping the Brit is not only a sexual thing, but it has a very massive implication. Jacques, type 1. It means when you keep the Kahal, the Brit Kahal. What's that gematria? Brit Kahal. 612, 135. Oh, there you go. Jacques, you like that. The covenant, the gematria of Brit Kahal is the same gematria as Kol HaTor. You like that? Not bad, folks. Not bad at all. Kol HaTor. Pretty good. So there you have it, okay? Let's check off our list here. We have that done. We did that. We did that. And we did that. So thanks to locating the sugya, we know that Brit is what it is in Torah A. It's the Kahal, keeping the Kahal. And that's why Israel are B'nai Olam Haba. And that's what it means to keep the Brit. And so now when we see that Israel, what's the gematria Kahal Yisrael? That's a good question, Jacques. 676, nothing there. If it's all about Kahal Yisrael, do not think that I'm saying Klal Yisrael. We're saying Kahal Yisrael. And by definition, Kahal Yisrael is all about the Toldus, the legacy, the offspring. Then that's why Noach, it says, Eile Toldus Noach. Noach, we don't have to mention Shem, Cham, and Yafis, because Noach is all about his Kahal of his time and the survival, which is Torah, how to perpetuate. Alright, so now we have Jeremiah in the verse. We talked about that. So when we talk about Yosef, Hatzadik, that he was righteous and he was Shomer Bris. How many of you have ever heard of Yosef? Anyone? And Yosef became righteous because he refused Potiphar's wife. And you'll say, Yosef won the war against sexual illicit relationships, correct? But what if we look at it this way? Yosef had every reason to marry either Potiphar. But he chose Esnat, who was, by the Midrash's account, a long-distant daughter of Yaakov. So what did Yosef achieve? In Egypt, he could have assimilated and married outside of his, Jacobic Kahal, which Yaakov is Israel. So there it is, Kahal Yisrael. And he kept the Kahal. And he's called a tzaddik for doing so. Do you see where I'm going with this? Yosef rejected Potiphar's wife. He chooses a woman in the Kahal. Yosef upholds the Kahal. Yosef is the most Israel, more than me and any other Jew. Why? He's a literal Ben Yisrael, a son of Yaakov. And Yaakov had his own Torah of Kahal, a pre-Sinai Kahal Yaakov. In fact, what do we call it in the end of Devarim? Koheles Yaakov. The Kahals of Yaakov. So now we see it in context of Yosef. And we say in the Zohar that he kept the bris milah in holiness and not in impurity. And that is to say, against promiscuous relationships, incest and things like that. That means union's got to be in holiness and not impure and not through arias, through illicit behavior. And therefore, that's what it means Israel's called keepers of the covenant of the Brit, because they accepted it on themselves, and that's why they are meriting the world to come. That's number 2. So you understand that the holy, moral, ethical, wise nature of Torah is the verse that the Sulam leaves out. The Sulam only quotes, your people, all of them are righteous. But the Zohar itself says, your people, all of them are righteous. They will forever inherit the earth. Therefore, if you notice how the Torah starts, and if you notice how Moses' message sounds, it's all about conquering and inheriting the earth. Look no further than to the 7 or 6 days of creation. How do you inherit the earth? Populate it. How do you guarantee your population? By honoring the Kahal. How does a ger honor the Kahal? The simple answer is, if you're not in the Holy Kahal, and you don't wish to enter the Holy Kahal, then don't take a Jew from his Holy Kahal. Encourage the Jew to marry in his Holy Kahal. So by a ger being Nilva, he honors the Kahal, and he's called a tzaddik. Because he is living a life abiding by the Kahal. Type 1. What does Noach do? He educates his kids by the Kahal. And that leads to an Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and a pre-Sinai, then Sinai. And the inheritance of the world will be through the people in the end of days that are of pure lineage. And we're not talking like some kind of Alex Jones conspiracy theory. We're talking in terms of holiness. Are you operating in the Kahal? Or are you operating against the Kahal? Alright, so that's the idea of the Torah has the wisdom of the Kahal. Meaning don't marry a mamzer if you cannot marry a mamzer. Alright. This is the secret of Noach. Is this not fantastic? Now we know who Noach was. So now when we look at the flood, in Torah B we'll say it was a literal flood. And I am not a historian prophet to know. But let's even say we take our basic Emunah Pshuta and say it was a flood. But what if we look at it this way? Jacques, I want you to think about this. Once upon a time, there was a man named Noach. And he was righteous and walked with God, Shem Elohim, which means God in this world, nature. And Noach lived with a bunch of animalistic idolaters. Noach gets a revelation. He's a tzaddik. God walked with him. He understands the formulas of life. He understands that by marriage being done with holiness and Torah, not only will he have kids, not only will he have a legacy, but his kids will merit to maintain the universe, and that's the nature of the covenant that Noach has with God. So Noach's ark is the Torah, and it's the secrets of the Torah. The Zohar itself calls itself a Noah's ark. Noah steps into marriage. That's why it's a big disgrace that Ham has relations on the ark. Why? Because he was going against the Kahal. So now we see Noach has the revelation, the first since Adam, how to govern his affairs according to living by the Kahal. And him and his sons that he instructs are the only ones with the Torah wisdom. It's like a little miniature Sinai with Noah. That's why his three sons are the halachic category separate from the rest of mankind called the Bnei Noach, Shem, Ham, and Yafis. And Shem becomes the evangelizer of the world, spreading the Torah through Abraham. Abraham takes the Torah and he becomes the first ger. Only the Bnei Noach were Bnei Noach, because by definition they can't be Yisrael, because that would go against the Kahal. So Noah instructs himself, his family, to be Shomer, the Kahal that would be Israel, by Dafka not being Israel, and by erecting the construct of Kahal Noah, which is the 7 laws of Noah. How do you have a successful search in marriage? According to Noah, 7 laws. No idolatry, no adultery, no stealing, da-da-da-da-dee. And thereby that guarantees a operation within the Kahal, and Noah's generations will last forever. And we see it worked. Why? Because there was a Sinai in the giving of the Torah, and an Abraham, and a Moses, Noah, whoever and whatever it was historically, personality in the flood. There is a human race, and the human race only perpetuates thanks to the Kahal wisdom that Noah received and passed on. And how do we know it passed on? Because it still exists today. And the Torah is written to tell you what was the secret of Noah's success. He had the Kahal wisdom. Jacques, are you enjoying this? So Noah and Yosef are called Tzaddikim because they perpetuate themselves according to the Kahal, according to Torah. So now, number 3. V'lo'od, ela sheYisrael nikrayim mishum zeh tzadikim. So there's a thing called Yisrael, which is Kahal Yisrael, and Yisrael is a tzaddik because anything that operates according to the holy Kahal, that is called Yisrael. So a ger, by not marrying into holiness unless they convert, otherwise marrying the right way according to the Kahal, that's why a ger is called a tzaddik or tzedek, and they're nilva to Israel, because they're operating according to the Kahal Yisrael. Mikan lamdenu shekol mi sheshomer hadbris sheha'olam miskayim alav nikrat tzadik. Anybody who is guarding the Brit is a tzaddik, despite the test. Me'ein lanu zeh miyoser shenishvil sheshomer bris ha'olam dahainu shalom nikshol be'eshis adono Zohar shenigrat tzadik. Yosef is the benchmark. He kept the kahal in the face of the test, and he was called a tzaddik who merited the world to come. Noach did it. Israel lives to do it, and that's the inheritance of the earth. So again, this is why the verse is compared to V'zeh shekasuv, and your people, all of them are tzaddikim. U'b'zeh b'yer lanu Rabbi Yechia is hakasuv Noach ish tzaddik shepeirusho. So again, why does it start out with Noach was a righteous man? Shenoach haya shomer abris. Noach kept the Brit, and therefore Niskayim toldosav. That's why his legacy lived on, and therefore it's written, Eila toldos Noach. These are the toldos of Noach. Noach ish tzaddik. Anybody who has the toldot, the kahal, which Noah did, that man is called a tzaddik. And that, my friends, is today's lesson. We're going to start next time with number 4. And pay attention to what we learned today. What did we learn today? That the Zohar gives you sod. And the sod isn't necessarily just the spherotic structure, but it's telling you the Torah reality. And in this case with Noah, it's how to build Israel. You're either building Israel or you're destroying it. Noah succeeded by realizing the 7 laws were the formula to maintain an island of purity around the idolaters, which became the Bnei Noach, that island. And the Bnei Noach were different than the idolaters because they had a maintaining of the Kahal Noach. Let's see what that gematria is. 135 and 58, 193 and 52, 62, 5, nothing there. So then Noah's legacy lived on, and Shem went out with that Torah, and they made Gerim. They made Avraham the Ger, and then Avraham spread that to make Gerim. And we see that Avraham definitely had the family Kahal in mind. He looked for a wife for Yitzchak, and Yitzchak looked for a wife for Yaakov. Esav and Yishmael didn't keep the Kahal. They became the idolatrous nations. But Avraham shows us that it's all about the Kahal and marrying within the Kahal. And then it continues. The daughters of Putiel were the daughters of Jethro, even though not Jewish. They are guardians of the Kahal in their own way. And it all boils down to the Iker term Brit. If we don't recognize what is Brit, and every Ger wants to know what a Brit is, well, there's probably many definitions of the covenant, but we know that from the main Iker perspective, the Brit, the covenant, is maintaining the Kahal. And that's the Iker term. And the fact that we got to Sinai, which was a giving of the Torah, proves that there was a Noah, because the same formula that exists today, and it started with somebody, and the Torah calls that person Noah. Alright, so that's what I have here. We're done for today. We're not going to do Mazel today. I wanted to introduce this class, so here it is. I'm going to put this class on the internet, not only on Get Soul Strong. If you have not yet stopped by the new online yeshiva, stop by, sign up, register, join classes, getsoulstrong.com. Again, we're going to do this Kabbalah class every Monday. We're going to take a break on Shar Gogulim. So Parshas Noach. We'll also do the Mazel book. We'll continue with that. Maybe tomorrow we'll catch up from what we missed today. And the schedule will be Thursday nights is Shira Shirim and Daniel. Monday night is Zohar, Noach, and Mazel. Wednesday night will be Ger Tzedek. And Tuesday night is Mishlei, I think, and also some maybe Ger stuff. I'm not sure. So that's all we have. Hope you enjoyed the class, and see you next time.